Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming, casting another game for you today between Liquid's HayprO and SjoW, SjoW being the red Terran player over here, and HayprO being the yellow Zerg player. So this is a Zerg vs. Terran, here on Steps of War. Really good map. I actually really enjoy this map. It's fairly small, relatively small, and the other thing too is the rush distance from base to base is very, very short as well. You can see there, just following it along. So this tends to lead to aggressive early games, and it's something really important to understand about the game based on your position in relation to your opponent and how short the ground distance and how short the air distance is. It really changes the dynamic of the game. And you know, when you hear people talk about certain maps having certain dynamics, well, it also is true that certain positions have certain dynamics. Like for example, let's take a look at Metalopolis. In Metalopolis, if you are nearest your opponent, basically if you are both on the same side of the map, your ramps are relatively close to each other, and that means you have short ground distance. So what that means is that early aggressive games are very likely because expanding becomes difficult beyond your natural. But same thing on on Metalopolis. If you guys are on opposite sides of the map but next to each other with that short air distance, well, that means a lot of drop harass tends to take place. And in that sort of game, if you're Terran, you know, you look to maybe do drop ships, or if you're yeah, exactly. If you're Terran, you look to go for dropship harass or void ray harass or banshee harass. With that short air distance, it makes that much easier. So that's kind of the general idea. You know, based on your position in correlation to your opponent, it's going to really change how you should play the game and what's going to be most effective. But enough of that. Taking a look at this particular game, we are seeing SjoW right now go for some 2 barracks early pressure. Very popular opening right now as Terran against Zerg. Now, because of this opening, a lot of Zerg players have not been fast expanding. In fact, if you take a look at the game casted right prior to this, it was a very short game, and in that game we saw some really early Marine and SCV pressure against a Zerg player who fast expanded, and that turned out to be the end of the game within, I think that game was like 5 minutes long. It was pretty nuts. So you saw how devastating it can be if the Terran player micros properly and just goes for an all-in cheese push. Now, I don't expect that same thing right now out of SjoW because, again, what we saw in the last game was really all-in, and you know, it means that if it doesn't succeed, you're in a lot of trouble. But again, we are still seeing this early aggression. You can see one SCV right here going down for this bunker. HayprO doing the right thing by trying to kill it, in fact bringing down some additional drones to try to get rid of this SCV, and that's exactly what he wants to do. But SjoW also responding correctly by bringing multiple SCVs. It is ideal to bring at least 2, possibly even 3 SCVs, because if you can get this bunker up with the Marine inside of it, you're going to be in a solid spot. And you can see here that first SCV died, so he's going to continue the building with that second SCV, and then that third SCV should be going in to finish it off right now. I think that's what's going to happen. I hope so. Anyways, there we go. So SjoW drops in that additional SCV, finishes the building right now, and if he can keep that thing alive, then he's going to be able to repair this, and he's going to be in a hole. Oh, no, so he does end up losing it, so this actually could be a problem for SjoW. Losing that SCV means this is going to be nearly as effective as he would hope it would be. But at the same time, you do have to realize that this forced HayprO to do a couple things. It forced him to make Zerglings, and he wouldn't necessarily make this many Zerglings this early in the game. And it also forced him to pull drones off the line, so it delayed his mining, and it forced him to use up larva on Zerglings. So either way, it's good. It's a good position for you. And usually we see this followed up with an expansion, so we might be seeing that fairly shortly from SjoW right now. He might be pushing out with some additional Marine pressure, though. We're going to see. He's got them all gathered up right here, but that expansion, there we go. So finally going down right there, and that is what we expect. We expect this opening with this 2 racks push. We expect it to be followed up with an expansion, trying to get an economic advantage. I already talked to the point as to how HayprO was set behind and being forced to make these Zerglings that he wouldn't otherwise make, and also being forced to pull drones off the line. So the idea for SjoW is to try to add on to that advantage and get an expansion up and really put himself in a really strong position. Let's take a look at the income tab right now, though. We can see, you see how SjoW is ahead. You know, obviously HayprO did lose some drones to that, and again, he was forced to make Zerglings, and making Zerglings means using larva, and using larva means you can't make drones. So that's kind of the idea. That's how this whole thing plays out. Now, at this point, I don't think SjoW's going to be able to push out quite yet. He's going to have to get more than just these Marines in order to really push out and do much damage against these spine crawlers and these Zerglings. Now, over in HayprO's base, while he's trying to recover, we do see this extractor going down. He definitely wants to get some gas so we can get that speedling upgrade at the very least. SjoW is just continuing to rally down these Marines right now. Not too worried at this point, it seems. He's feels pretty comfortable keeping all these Marines chilling out right here. It's really could be pretty devastating if there was a couple of banelings, but obviously at this point, HayprO is nowhere near having banelings. Let's go back to that production tab so we can see exactly what's going on. Now, SjoW is going to be dropping this expansion very shortly. You can see as a result coming out with these additional production buildings. He's going for 4 barracks right now. Probably going to see at least one more building go down fairly shortly as well. Also going to be reinforcing the front of his base by getting this bunker. That's going to help him defend quite a bit, obviously. Over here for HayprO really trying to recover, like I said. Looks like he's going to be trying to get this 3rd expansion to try to make up for the deficit and the position that he was put in because of that early push from SjoW, and that's basically his idea at this point. SjoW still just hanging out with these Marines right here, this front spotter Marine, to see if anything really dangerous for these Marines comes forward. So with this little frontal scouting, you can pull this group of Marines back if you have something that's going to lose, if you're going to lose to whatever pushes out, basically. SjoW getting his expansion saturated right now, also just continuing to pump out these Marines and Marauders. Looks like HayprO, by sacrificing this Overlord, is going to get a really good scout of exactly what's going on for SjoW. He's going to be able to see, let me go back, I missed that there. He's going to be able to see exactly, yeah, so he sees all 4 barracks right now, so he is aware, bio-heavy army. He's really not worried about much else at this point. With 4 barracks, that's pretty much what you can expect. Also, of course, going to be checking out that bunker now. He was denied that expansion scout, or unless he, yeah, so he was denied that expansion scout, so he doesn't quite know at the moment, but seeing this bunker placed here, he's going to be reasonably sure that there is an expansion. So he needs to realize that and do what's necessary to prepare for it. Baneling's Nest just about finished right now for HayprO, so he's going to be going for that Speedling Baneling. We see that metabolic boost about 50% of the way finished right now. Baneling's Nest just about to pop out. And again, back for SjoW, doing nothing but coming out with Marines and Marauders, getting those upgrades right now. Combat Shield coming, Stim Pack coming down as well. Getting a little supply block there. That's unfortunate for SjoW. Does have these 2 depots coming down right now, though, so he's going to be able to take care of that very, very shortly. And you can see here at this point, keeping those resources nice and low, just keeping up constant production. And then back here for HayprO as well, doing the exact same thing. Resources nice and low, keeping up constant production, getting his upgrades. There we go. That's just about finished. Layer coming in right now. Probably going to be seeing this expansion very shortly. And here we go. A bunch of Banelings going to be moving in, so HayprO doing what he needs to do to defend against this early push, and here comes the push right now for SjoW. Now he might want to wait till that Stim Pack and Combat Shield finishes. That's going to make quite the difference, and there you go. You can see him pulling back right now, so he is going to do just that. As soon as that Stim Pack and Combat Shield finishes, though, he might feel comfortable enough to push out, but no reason to move in until that is finished, until your units get that extra advantage from those upgrades. It's definitely the smart thing there by SjoW and pulling back his units. And here we go, rallying up, pulling a bunch of SCVs down as well. Going to be using those as a meat shield, also for distracting fire. Hopefully trigger a few Baneling bust before they actually get to his Marines as well. That could obviously be very beneficial. And here comes the push. You can see here, great job in trying to protect his Marines from Banelings, getting that surround with all of those Marauders and having the Marines chilling out in the back there. He's going to have to worry about this, though. HayprO is going to be moving in some Banelings from behind. If SjoW's not paying attention, which he isn't, no, he does. So good job microing his units away. He did lose a few Marines, but not as many as he could have, and a little bit of miss micro there, losing a few more Marines, but overall, pretty good job. This push might be very, very effective. Marauders, again, creating that meat shield, trying to save those Marines from any of those Baneling buffs. Going to be taking out quite a few of the drones here, and this is a big problem right now for HayprO. Looks like HayprO's coming out with about 24 Zerglings, which should help, but I don't know if it's going to be enough at this point. SjoW is continuing production. Is going to be rallying units over to join the fight as well, so this is actually really bad right now for HayprO. I don't think he's going to be able to survive this. These Zerglings popping out right here, but dying before they can do anything, and HayprO does call good game. So another example of how effective that early 2-racks push can be against a Zerg player who fast expands. Again, in the last game that we took a look at, it didn't, you know, in this game it didn't kill the player instantly like it did in the last game because this push wasn't as all in, but either way you saw how devastating it was. Again, forcing him to use larvae on those Zerglings instead of drones, also forcing him to pull drones off the line to help defend. So just something to keep in mind if you haven't started doing it yet as Terran. If you see a Zerg player fast expand, bring down that bunker, bring a couple Marines. It could really set back your Zerg opponent and really set you up for success. So once again, guys, this has been Force from Force Strategy Gaming. If you guys like our videos, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And as always, keep watching and keep owning, guys. To defend early on, and you kind of are going to rely on drones. If you can't use your drones to kill any building depot or to deal with any of those early Marines, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble because you won't have your Zerglings up at that point. You can see right now that spawning pool is about 3/4 of the way done, and we do have our first Marine right now en route for Butterfly. And what else do we have? 4 SCVs going to be transferred down. No, not 4 SCVs, nearly all of his SCVs. So Butterfly going down with a bunch of Marines and a ton of SCVs. And this, if this works, this is going to be pretty devastating. I'm going to...